a huge part of the pressure that CLG have been able to apply to the map.
Yeah, that 926 damage per minute on Tank Poppy in the last game is actually insane. Like, A, there was a ton of fights, and B, they were super spread out, which is what enabled those things to happen. And for those of you at home, Poppy is nerfed on the live servers. This is the pre-nerfed Poppy, but it's still an incredible big-time performance. Such a performance, though.
Yeah, even if the 960 damage per minute is an inflated number, he was still the highest in the game of all 10 players. You have a Hurricane Caitlyn, a Kalista, a LeBlanc, an AP Echo, out-damaged all those guys. I mean, absolutely incredible play from Darshan, one of the returning members of CLG, the Finals MVP, maybe the frontrunner for Finals MVP in this one as well, because he's just been absolutely incredible for the team now.
A lot of that damage is when we have tanks with Grasp constantly trading.
Yeah.
You see that a lot.
It's net 0 damage, but you get 100 damage out of it.
But even beyond that, usually we talk about how split pushers will have lower damage related numbers. And Darshan is not only putting out the damage, but also creating a lot of these teleport plays. He's a huge part of the shot calling. He's the one that's saying, we're doing double teleport now, who he lets go.
Yeah, and I still think this is a series that could very easily go all 5 games. We look at games 1 and 3, which CLG won. Those were incredibly close games. We had the Winions in game 1 and the clutch team fight from Stixay at the end of game 3, and that's what led to the CLG's victory.
Yeah, right.
Whereas TSM's winning game 2 was a lot more decisive. So these are still as tied as a series can be after 3 games. This is it.
It's been incredible because both these teams have shown that they have the grit and determination to take games back even after a deficit. CLG were losing pretty hard in game 1, had that great double TP flank, turn it back. In game 3, TSM were getting slaughtered early game, much worse than any of those games so far, and had won 2 team fights in that 3rd game with 7,000 gold deficits and found ways to get back in. So certainly, this series is anyone's to take, and any one of these games can be any team's.
Sticking with the Soraka ban, going to probably be there throughout the entire series, and CLG also sticks with the Azir ban.
I wonder if TSM added Caitlyn though to the list.
I don't know about that. Bard was pretty big from Afamu as well.
Definitely was.
Might get back up on there.
And looks like Echo will be the final ban, so instead that one comes through, and they're going to make who he plays something else. Maokai off the table, and now also Poppy added. CLG says, yeah, you know what? We know you like Poppy, so you're not allowed that one.
Very interesting, with so many of the big tanks taken off the table now.
Yeah.
What becomes the priority?
And Trundle are the sort of next up on the list, actually.
As far as tanks go.
As far as tanks go, specifically, yeah. Graves is up, which I feel like Darshan might still be happy to play at some point. If that's how the picks and bans lie. I mean, all the junglers are up.
The jungle prioritization has actually been kind of weird for me. Because usually, Nidalee dropping down there to 2nd round last game was kind of weird, but she might be a little bit lower for these guys specifically. Kindred, all of them are up right now, though. So, take your pick of the litter. There's Nidalee, Kindred, Graves.
First pick would be, to me, unlikely just based on how they're prioritizing in previous games, but maybe something changed in the huddle about what they should prioritize.
Yeah, and remember last time it was TSM who chose Graves over Nidalee. They had the option.
Well, this is the funny thing. In game 1, it was Svenskar and Nidalee that got outscaled by Smithy's Kindred, which is a matchup that is still available here, and yet in game 3, Smithy's Nidalee was so much better than Svenskeren that he just crushed the early game and got CLG a huge lead. It's more the player skill than the champions from what I've been seeing so far. That Smithy was winning both sides of the Nidalee matchup.
Yeah, and now I would like to see flex picks or not giving away too much here, because this top lane matchup is going to have a lot more interesting options since the 3 main top tanks have been banned.
It's so tempting to see him on a squishy chart champion like Fiora, though, with all the major tanks being banned away. It's unlikely, though.
It is, but I do want to know what's next up on the list, actually, and it's going to be Trundle Elise. So,
Whoa!
Graves and Kindred were on the table, and CLG doesn't care. That is actually incredibly surprising to me.
And it's the first Trundle of the series, when we're less likely to see some of the super tanks.
So because this is so puzzling, right? They're not just going down the pecking order of highest power. They have something in mind. They must have something in mind, and it's probably a poke comp. Whenever you see Trundle in history, he's always been using the pillar for poke comps, right? Setting up all these skill shots. And Elise is one of the junglers that actually can fit into that, since Nidalee's already taken. The cocoon pressure when you are sieging up does provide a decent amount. Maybe CLG are actually going to switch it up and go poke here. That would be definitely off the beaten path, but it's an option. Well, taking away a little bit there from
At the very least, we see the Caitlyn from Doublelift looking for the lane dominance over Stixxay, and also because Stixxay kind of found his footing at the very end of Game 3. They want to put him back into a champion he may not be as comfortable with.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a ban, but it turns out it's TSM going to pick that one away. Second round blue side. The rest of these champions not nearly as contested. The Soraka, the Echo, the Rise, all kind of one-sided as CLG favorites. So at the end of the day, no huge surprise that ends up being the choices for TSM, but it does mean that Stixxay has to play something new.
And I actually do like that. If you're looking at Trundle and Elise, and they've already been having success with this Caitlyn, or they actually recently did, take it away. There's still another poke 80 carry, though. Ezreal here picked up for Stixxay.
Yeah, Ezreal could be Stixxay, could always be Huhi. There's a chance. And keep in mind that Corki is still available, so if we are looking at the poke composition, and that is the sort of the lineup that we're probably looking to find here.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have a lot of poke this game, and there's also the option for TSM to go really heavy protect Doublelift here and do another Lulu.
Oh, that would be huge.
It's not with the Calista, but it's with Caitlyn, and they have the Nidalee for the attack speed, and that is a devastating combination in team fights if they get there.
Gragas Lulu would be fine, I think, for TSM, honestly. They've been happy to play Gragas the whole series anyway.
It would look a little low in overall damage, but they've gotten away with it in the past.
Yeah, but if there's one player in North America to build around, it can be Doublelift. I don't know if that's going to be TSM's choice. They could run the option, but there are other plays available. And as they take their time, there's the Gragas. And what's it going to be alongside? It is the Lulu, so that's the comp after all. Protect the Doublelift.
It's what won them game 2. That was their cleanest game of the series.
Plus,
and their only win.
This means that they can run teleport on their mid laner. Bjergsen will take again the teleport with Lulu, which has been very, very big in the mid game in every single one of these games.
So what's Huhi's answer? Is it going to be mid lane Corki? Like he ran against Lulu in game 2. It wasn't successful.
It would go into the poke, but it also means they wouldn't have a reliable way of killing a very protected Caitlyn, which was one of the problems they ran into in game 2.
I don't think Trundle has great backline access anyway. I mean, this is not a backline regen team.
You're kind of funneled into poke wars here.
Yeah,
skill shot wars.
At that point, it would be Varus.
Yeah, but Caitlyn and Lulu already have great wave clear. The stand up and siege has to have long enough range to get damage down that stage. But no, it's a way to get into the back line. It's Twisted Fate coming through for Huhi.
Much more stylistically accurate for CLG. The Bard plus Twisted Fate on top of the Ezreal and Elise. It's all about forcing picks. It's stopping TSM from grouping up. It's eliminating the death ball and never letting them group.
Big wave clear as well from Counterlogic. Yeah, as you're saying, Scar was looking for that earlier on in the series. Does finally appear here for Huhi in the counter pick.
Okay. Double match point for Counterlogic Gaming to be back-to-back North American LCS champions, to hope to redeem themselves from Worlds at the Mid-Season Invitational in Shanghai. This could be the game that sends CLG. Meanwhile, for the lineup on your screen right now, TSM, they have to win this one and the next one to get their 4th championship.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
The picks and bans have evolved in this series. We get to see our first Trundle, our first Stixxay Ezreal, our first Twisted Fate.
There we go. The finals. What could be the last game of the series if CLG has anything to say about it. This is the matchup to watch. This is the game to watch. Tune in, tell your friends, tell your dog, tell everybody to come and tune into this one. Hashtag TSM win, hashtag CLG win. Whichever team it is, they're going to put on a great show. Let's hear it for our finals because we are heading in to Game 4. TSM fighting for survival. CLG fighting for the win.
It's a great word. This has been one continuous fight. And a lot of these games, just super long, super chaotic team fights. CLG, one game away from the championship, but with a much different set of champions than they've had at any point during this series.
Definitely a different style. We'll see if that's going to work out then for Counterlogic Gaming.
And TSM looking to complete or extend their crazy playoff run. The 6th seed coming in, taking down the 3rd seed, taking down 1st seed Immortals. What an incredible, crazy story it would be for them after the season that they had to be able to make it back, at least extend to a Game 5.
Yeah, it really is crazy because what the preseason expectation was for them never showed itself in the regular season. And then it began to show itself in the playoffs. So it feels scripted. You look at the preseason trailer for the NALCS with Double Lift walking up to the NALCS logo with CLG and TSM chants competing in the background. Then the regular season was all about like Cloud9 and Jensen bodying fools and Immortals doing amazing things throughout the regular season. But at the end of the day, it was TSM and CLG again.
Now
a little bit unbelievable.
About hillbillies with, pole dancing cat ladies, I guess.
I guess that's what happened in the early games.
Spiders and trolls. It's like a big fantasy novel.
Standard lanes. Everybody gets the same jungle starts. This is what I like to see.
Okay. No unfair advantage here. Both duo lanes starting with the camp for equal experience.
Yeah.
But it is also range support versus melee support. So it's Caitlyn versus Callista, but the Bard is a stronger laner than the Alistar.
Do they miss a minion a little bit slower on Krugs? And they do.
Okay, small CS lead here. We're going to see some damage come through. 6-8 dodges the Peacemaker, and the harass comes through. Oh, 6-8 missing last hit there, and I'm casting last hits. The grit and determination to take games back even after a deficit. CLG were losing pretty hard in game 1, had that great double TP flank, turn it back. In game 3, TSM were getting slaughtered early game, much worse than any of those games so far, and had won 2 team fights in that third game with 7,000 gold deficits and found ways to get back in. So certainly, this series is anyone's to take, and any one of these games could be any team's.
Teleport now who he lets go.
Yeah, and I still think this is a series that could very easily go all 5 games. We look at games 1 and 3, which CLG won. Those were incredibly close games. We had the Winions in game 1 and the clutch team fight from Stixay at the end of game 3, and that's what led to the CLG's victory.
Yeah, right.
Whereas TSM's winning game 2 was a lot more decisive. So these are still as tied as a series can be after 3 games. This is it.
It's been incredible because both these teams have shown that they have, because he's just been absolutely incredible for the team.
Yeah. A lot of that damage is when we have tanks with grasp constantly trading.
Yeah.
You see that a lot.
It's net 0 damage, but you get 100 damage out of it.
But even beyond that, usually we talk about how split pushers will have lower damage related numbers. And Darshan is not only putting out the damage, but also creating a lot of these teleport plays. He's a huge part of the shot calling. He's the one that's saying, we're doing double teleport. Do not try this at home.
Such a performance, though.
Yeah, even if the 960 damage per minute is an inflated number, he was still the highest in the game of all 10 players. You have a Hurricane Caitlyn, a Callista, a LeBlanc, an AP Echo, out-damaged all those guys. I mean, absolutely incredible play from Darshan, one of the returning members of CLG, the Finals MVP, maybe the frontrunner for Finals MVP in this one as well.
A huge part of the pressure that CLG have been able to apply to the map.
Yeah, that 926 damage per minute on tank pop in the last game is actually insane. Like, A, there was a ton of fights, and B, they were super spread out, which is what enabled those things to happen. And for those of you at home, Poppy is nerfed on the live servers. This is the pre-nerfed Poppy, but it's still an incredible